All right, joined now by Will Chase. He is the CEO of Triumph Bank, and Triumph Bank is nice enough to put their name on these studios and support this show, and so I'm grateful for that, but also grateful of the work they are doing. And it just struck us, I hear so much about these small business loans that are being offered to so many of the businesses, honestly, other people who advertise with us, and I know lots of people are wrangling with it, so I just wanted to answer some questions and get a sense of how it is going. And so Will was nice enough to join us. Will, how are you?
Doing great today, thank you.
So what's this like? From a banking perspective, this bill is passed in Washington, D.C. You've got to implement it and figure it out. What's it been like?
First of all, thanks for having me on the show. So I'll tell you what we've been doing for the last week.
Okay.
When the bill started and the application process started, actually it was a week ago today, at 8:30 in the morning, the processes that had normally been in place for approving 7A SBA guaranteed loans no longer worked. So we had to create a brand new system internally to be able to approve the loans, have people to process them, and go through all the checks and balances that need to be in place. We spent all weekend doing that, plus making sure it was regulatorily compliant.
Yeah.
And so then we started Monday. And today, as of last night, we've approved a medium 8-figure amount of loans. Well, that's been approved. The applications have been approved. That's the correct way to
the application. Now, do people... Can anyone apply for a loan at Triumph Bank? Your standing customers. I mean, how is this different than when you say the old procedures didn't work? Why not?
Well, the old procedure that we used that was a standard process. There was an uploadable portal, and you could upload information, and it was scanned, and there was all types of stuff that was involved. But if you can imagine a system that was the size of a thread trying to take on a pipe of information that's about 12 feet wide. And that's actually kind of what happened in this. So no one expected this. So it's a pretty manual system, but we've been able to design one that works and is pretty efficient for everybody.
And so can Joe's Pizza Place call you up and see, I want to get one of these? Or how does it, literally, what's the first step?
The first step, I would go to our website. There's an information page and an application page. Right now, we're taking applications from customers and non-customers both. Our non-customers we have to put them on the side temporarily while we figure out how much we're going to have available, because we need to take care of our customers first. And the definition of a customer for us is someone who has any type of relationship with us. It could be a credit card, a certificate of deposit, or a loan, whatever it is. We're willing to happily take them.
Have you seen, what have you seen on the part of the small business people who come to you? Is it their desperation, confusion, optimism? What have you observed about what is happening out there?
I think first of all, there's a sense of shock because this has all happened so quickly. If you think about it, this kind of started on March 2nd or so, and the world has just kind of come to a stop financially in some ways. They're confused. They're very frustrated because they're looking for some relief, and some of them have optimism. Can I share a real story with you?
Yeah, please do.
We have a local restaurant that banks with us. Their application came in. We were able to turn it around and get the application accepted and approved in 24 hours. And based on that, the people on the restaurant went back and they paid their employees. They haven't been open for 4 weeks, and they went and they started paying people because they feel very confident that they're going to get this money.
So
that's a great story. 27 people hadn't been paid for 2 or 3 weeks. Got paid 2 days ago.
So one of the stipulations was, I gather, is that if they keep everybody on payroll, that then these loans will ultimately be forgiven. What if someone has already, just laid them off immediately, and then this bill was passed? Can they bring them back and put them on payroll and be eligible? And then I guess beyond that, who's the person who actually certifies that people are on payroll? What's that process like?
So the answer to your first question is yes. So they can bring people back. And so on the front end, there's a certification that the owner makes. The bank doesn't have anything to do with that. And then there's a certification that the owner makes on the back end. What we're doing is, in a modern world, everybody's got a payroll service, their computer printouts, all that kind of stuff. And so that's the information that people are looking for, including your payroll tax filings, which are your 940s and your 941. So there's plenty of documentation out there for the process to work.
Normally, when you make a loan, I presume you meet with the folks and you decide if they're a good risk and whatever. You look at the nature of their business and whatever else, and then you decide to offer the loan. Here, these loans are fully guaranteed, I believe, right, by the federal government. So they're sort of like gold, I guess. I mean, do you have to go through the same process of deciding what's a good risk or not that you would with a typical loan?
No, the process is very simple. We don't have to worry about if the company can pay it back. We don't have to worry about collateral or doing any valuations of it.
Right.
There are no personal guarantees, so we don't have to look at the owners and see if they can pay us back as a second or third source of repayment. It's 100% guaranteed by the Small Business Administration. And then the forgivable, theoretically, the loan could be, the forgiveness payment could be made. We could lend the money, the forgiveness payment could be made even before a payment is due on the loan. That's the way the system is designed. It's a very unique and it's a really pretty cool design program.
Is the forgiveness check come from the government to you? Is that what happens or does it go to the small business owner and then to you?
We're assuming it's supposed to come to us. We're assuming that there are so many processes and pieces to this whole program that have not yet been determined. But that's what we're assuming is because the Small Business Administration is a guarantee program that the money will go from the U.S. Treasury to the SBA then to us on the forgiveness.
I suspect that every small business works with one bank or another, right? They sort of have to because they bank. They're a small business. Do you gather, like you've said, the people who aren't your customers have been put to the side for now? Have you heard about people having issues getting access to this, or is your sense that it's working rather smoothly? Some
of our competitors who are very, very, very large banks, very early on, had said that they had pretty much reached their limit last week for the amount of loans that they have. So that's why so many people so many businesses who bank at larger banks are looking for an outlet. And I'm very proud to say that the community bank world, especially in Memphis and the state of Tennessee, has really stepped up. Very proud of my industry. When
you say limit, there's each bank gets a certain amount to lend. I mean, and then you're done. Is that how it works? Pardon my naivete in all of this. I'm not sophisticated in my questions, Will. Again, we're talking to Will Chase. He is CEO of Triumph Bank. Nice enough to explain how all this is working for us. Does everyone get a certain amount and then you're done?
All banks are setting some type of internal limit. Just if you can think about it, you just wouldn't want to have 100% of all the loans that you have go into one type of loan. So various banks have different limitations that they put on them. And so it's just that's an individual institutional decision. And then the banking system is going to have to invent the money to fund all these. So there's a great program that the Federal Reserve Bank has come up with to actually provide funding to banks like ours that are making the loans. So I'll make a loan to a restaurant based on the guarantee. I write a check. I get the money back on the forgiveness. But in the meantime, the Federal Reserve Bank will lend me money to allow me to make those loans.
You mentioned that you're proud of the banking industry and how you all have stepped up, and that for community banks, I have to believe it makes a difference because you are tied to the community in a way that just the bigger banks aren't. I mean, doesn't it sort of stand? This is why one wants banks that are in fact invested in the community.
I agree, and some community banks aren't offering this program, and they get to make their own individual choices. But we're here. We're invested in Memphis. You know our story. We've got people working at 11 o'clock at night, inputting stuff into the E-Tran SBA system to get these loans processed so we can get back with our customers. And I can't be more proud of our group, to be very honest. Our customers have been very patient, and I think we're coming through for them. So all the way around, I'm expecting a great result at the end of this.
How generally, Will, how has banking changed at banks sort of everywhere? What do you do now? Is there no lobby service? And if you needed something that would typically require lobby service, what happens? Like, how have you changed what you do at Triumph Bank? And I presume lots of banks have done similar types of things, but what have you changed?
Because we have a disaster response team. I'm one of the members of it. We immediately stepped into a plan. We have 85% of our employees working remotely right now. That's a huge percentage for a bank. We were the first bank in Memphis to direct transactional business to our drive-through, and then if someone needs to talk to someone, they just do it they just pick up the phone, call the bank, make an appointment, and we'll figure out how to stay at least 6 feet away from each other and try and solve the customer problem.
You've seen a lot of things in your years. What do you make of this? And are we going to emerge? And what's it going to look like when we emerge? Will?
I don't know what it's going to look like when we emerge. I can tell you, I was a history major in college, and I look at this as kind of like World War II to me. We've had this thing that happened. You have to get over the shock. And then we're bringing a lot of people together to solve these problems, and the whole country is going to be changed. How we communicate, how we interrelate with each other. We have people, as I said, we got 85% of our people in remote locations. We're learning how to pass documents around digitally. So there's just all kinds of things that are going to change. Your relationships, these interconnected world that we've had, is going to be much different. And I'm not a futurist. What we're trying to do every day here is make sure that every customer that has a need, that we get it taken care of today. And if not today, we're going to take care of it as quickly as we can. Will,
you're awfully gracious to join us. Really appreciate it, and thanks for all you're doing.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, that is Will Chase from Triumph Bank.